And a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to you wherever you are in the world right now. Thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to WCS America 2014 and we are in the round of 16 in Group C right now, and I'm now joined by Nathanius, who is fresh from the commentary box for our next matchup with a Chinese head-to-head. It's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, it turns out our losers match has to be the Chinese team kill coming in between MacSed and TooDming. And, you know, both these players put up some pretty interesting fights, but Tasia's been looking unstoppable in this group. And, well, Arthur had some special builds he was able to pull out to get himself at least in that position to play against Tasia.
Yeah, I was going to get your thoughts on that, being a fellow Terran. It's nice to have a Terran on the show for a change. I'm usually the only one batting for the T's. Tasia's just absolutely unstoppable today. I mean, I said it was like a regular day at the office for him because he literally strolled in, sat down, plugged his computer in, played his games, got up, walked out. What was the fuss about? Yeah, I'm in the round of 8.
You know, Tasia's just one of those players. He's the last guy you're going to see joking around. He's always business when it comes to these games, and there's lots of Terran players that would say TVP is very difficult. It's hard to hold aggressive Protoss builds. He held arguably the strongest attack that Arthur could have sent at him, and he played so patiently. There's so many times as a Terran player, you're like, I want to just pull my SCVs. I want to just go try to kill him. His attack didn't work. I canceled his third base. No, Tasia made sure that every step of the way he had his ground covered to take the next step to ensure victory, and that's why he's out of the group already.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those Terrans as well that you look at and you watch and you play, and you think, he's so confident with what he does, so precise with his execution. Even with his holds, they're very like, okay, I'm going to hold this like this, and when I finish this, I'm going to do this. He knows exactly what he's going to do next. It contrasts a little bit of what we saw yesterday with some of the inexperience in the groups, where you sometimes see a Terran who holds, and then you think, oh, okay, go for the kill now. And then they're like, oh, do I go for the kill? Don't I go for the kill? Hang on, let me be a little bit more safe. Oh, I've got another all-in to defend. Oh, I'll defend it. They're almost indecisive, but he shows, as does Polt, why if you're a very positive clinical Terran, you can still beat a Protoss Blink all-in.
Yeah, I think you bring up an excellent point. When you look at even just the Terran versus Protoss we saw yesterday between Neeb and Alicia, you see Neeb, he's a good player. He has the mechanics down, but doesn't quite have that experience of knowing exactly when to make certain reads. And you look at a player like Tasia, every step of the way, he had exactly what he needed to defend. Even when it looked like it would be impossible, he still knew how to come back from those tough situations, and he never let the Protoss control the momentum of the game after he was able to hold off the initial aggression.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the bracket to inform you of where we are right now. There is a gold box completed in Group C, and it falls to the Terran Korean of Tasia. He moves on to the round of 8, and now we have to find our last one out of Group C, which will come from either Arthur, TooDming, or MacSed. It's the two Chinese players going head-to-head. Next, they do have a good head-to-head record, these two. They have played each other a lot, which is in contrast to the rest of the group, who've hardly ever played each other. But these two absolutely know each other. They've been together in teams before. They've been, you know, in Chinese leagues before. They've been in the Asian leagues before. And it's 9-7 head-to-head right now in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, with TooDming ahead. So MacSed, I would say, is probably the marginal favorite here.
I'd say a lot more people definitely know about MacSed and have seen he's had a bit more success so far, especially in WCS America. He's been basically a part of every season since the beginning of the 2013 season. So I feel like, and these two players actually play each other a lot because, you know, both Chinese players. I think if you guys are to stay up late at night watching streams, you see there's these Chinese tournaments on all the time. And these guys, they're very familiar with each other, which I think could give us a more interesting dynamic than, say, you know, Tasia having to wonder what exactly is MacSed going to bring. It's going to be more like these guys are going to say, how can I abuse what I know you're already used to doing?
Yeah, and last year, G League for TooDming, he did relatively well. Second in 2012, third, fourth in 2013. But his biggest win last year was in the Neo Star League, where he beat Jim 3-1 in the final. So we know about Jim. We know how good he is. We know the quality he brings. But that also means that TooDming must have something up his sleeve for his Protoss friend.
Yeah, I think it's especially important to take into consideration. We discussed in Rotterdam, even mentioned earlier, Jim, MacSed, two players practice together a lot, good friends, and share a similar style. We saw that with some of the Colossus Phoenix play that MacSed brought against Tasia, and if he continues to emulate in any way the kind of style that Jim plays, surely TooDming is going to be very aware of what those possible builds could be.
All right, well, thank you very much, Nathanius. We are almost ready for our fourth game in Group C. We're just one more match away from finding out who the last player out of Group C will be in our round of 8. Just a reminder for you as well, a little later on in the programme, after we've completed Group D, we will do the live draw for WCS America Season 1 2014 right in the studio here, so you can find out who the quarterfinalists will be, which take place on Thursday and Friday of next week. That's right, you only have a few more days to wait before more awesome WCS action hits your screens. Right now we're going to go for our fourth game. It is the Battle of China. Which one rises on, though, to play, Arthur? Let's find out.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yes, indeed. It's all or nothing right now for one of our two Chinese players, and the winner will move on to play against Arthur for that also important spot in the round of 8. MacSed surprised, I think, friend and foe when he did it the first time, and especially when he did it the second time, even when his teammate Jim, his beloved Jim, wasn't able to make it. Is he going to make it 3 times in a row? Right now, he's on the ropes a little bit, James, but he's far from down and out.
Yeah, I think so as well. Against TooDming here, I kind of have to favor MacSed. What we saw from him against Sen in the round of 32 was great variance in his PVZ.
Yep.
And going back to those games, there was, you know, straight to macro games with even double Stargate play, but then there was also a game on Heavy Rain, which, you know, with thick thirds and lots of gateways can always be very, very fun.
Yeah, that's a game that I really remember because I was blown away by MacSed's first game against Sen. I kind of expected another like funky 2-base, very well executed timing, but no, the opposite was true. He played a very macro-oriented style, and then Sen was like, all right, and then the second game he scouts it. Okay, everything looks the same, but it wasn't the same. That time, the third base was a complete fake, and MacSed fell back to what we know him for. And that makes him very dangerous and very hard to play against. But of course, TooDming is probably a little more familiar with MacSed, like Red Eye pointed out as well. They've played against each other a lot.
Yeah, they have. So maybe we'll see those intricacies come into play in this match, as we have Heavy Rain and Yonsu gotten rid of here by TooDming, and then obviously Daedalus Point has to go for MacSed. Anything else would have been crazy.
Altazim.
Altazim. Will it be?
Pretty sure it will be. I saw him point at the top of the screen. No, it's going to be Frost. Wow, so we might actually see Altazim. We saw it early today, of course, when TooDming played against Arthur, but still another map we see a whole lot.
We very rarely see Frost actually vetoed.
I must say, TooDming looks like a total boss, by the way. He looks so cool.
Yeah, he does. It's like, he has no team shirt, but he still looks extremely cool. Extremely cool.
Got the hair shaved on the sides a little bit. He's up to date when it comes to fashion, man.
Have you, like, when he has his headset on, like, the front sticks up really nice. It's pretty crazy. It's cool.
It's going to be a really fun series. I can't wait to see what MacSed will bring to the table. Once more, a really important series for him. He was consistent. He was important in WCS Season 2 and Season 3. In Season 3, worth mentioning, he lost to Pure in the round of 8. Pure, of course, was an absolute raw in the second season, even defeating Jaedong back then in the semifinals before falling against Polt in the finals. We'll take a look at MacSed's statistics. As Paul pointed out, TooDming has a small lead over him, and I was just standing outside with Edison and Shigawa, and I was like, Edison, what do you think? Edison, of course, the manager of Invictus Gaming and an awesome dude. If you ever meet him at an event, you make sure to walk up to him and talk with him. He will gladly have a chat with you, as he just always wants to chat. He said, it's very hard to call. He's like, TooDming very good, and TooDming knows MacSed. Then I asked Zigawa what he thinks, and he's, of course, teammates with MacSed. He said, I think TooDming wins. I was like, oh, really? I was like, but MacSed played so well against Sen. And then Zigawa said, TooDming better than Sen.
Oh, well, okay. So we're going to have to find out now if TooDming can step up to the plate. As it's certainly a challenge. It's certainly a challenge for both players in terms of how well they know one another and how this is going to play out. But I'm still very surprised that Frost isn't there. So Polar Night's our first map of all maps to open up on.
Yeah, this must be the first time in the weekend that Frost gets vetoed. Me and Nathan talk about it all the time. Frost is the universally agreed up map upon that we all love and we don't veto. It's like, you just don't do that, man.
No, exactly.
You're messing with the rules of StarCraft 2 players.
It's like betraying a best friend. You just don't do it.
No, like you have a love relationship with Frost and you have a love relationship with your best friend. You don't just veto them out. It's like, we're going to go out tonight, but you're not welcome. It's like, wow, if I was Frost right now, I'd be very sad.
He's like, fine. Well, next time when no cross spawns, man, you're just going to get close all the time.
Take another look at TooDming. It's the first time he made it, of course, to the round of 16 in WCS. It's the first time he made it to Premier League, so impressive. Of course, if you guys think of TooDming and you're like, I've heard that name before, then it was probably because of that fantastic surround that he had on Frost against Scarlet in the round of 32, which was brought in picture beautifully by our observer back then. Which was me.
Good job, man. I was about to say. Observing whilst casting can be tough, man. We know this, but...
I am no Funka, but I have my moments.
Yeah. All right, let's get into game number 1 now. Polar Knight loading up here between TooDming and MacSed. One of these players is going out. One of them will survive on to play against Arthur for that last spot here in Group C in the round of 8.
Zenith of Origin against Invictus Gaming, two of the most well-known teams coming out of China right now.
All right, spawning up to the north, we have our Invictus Gaming member as our red Protoss. It's MacSed. And I like their jacket.
Me too. I've been in love with that jacket ever since I saw it the first time. Edison promised to bring me one. He didn't do it.
He didn't?
Heartbreaking.
Oh, wow. And spawning down to the south position as our blue Zerg representing Zenith of Origin, it's TooDming.
So let's see how MacSed is going to open. We can see the pylon going down in the main base, so most likely it will just be a standard gate expand, which was in the line of expectation, what I thought of him. It could still be like a one gate fast expand into a Stargate in his main and then adding a few more gateways. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see MacSed take a relatively slow approach early on, but still hit hard mid-game. Polar Knight, of course, is a tricky map for a Protoss player to go up to 3 bases. I struggle a lot with it. And we even saw Puck the other day take his third base like in the back door when he took out those rocks. First the ice, or the backdoor path, and then he took out that ice block. So interesting stuff that we saw from... this is actually a cool opening by MacSed. It seems like he's not going to build a gate at all. Or it's a very late gate and then the Nexus.
And pool opening here from TooDming, which, he's playing it cautiously, I guess, but the pool, it's weird how it's like positioned straight towards as if he was like thinking for a hatchery first, but then it's like, no, I want to go for a pool. But aside from that, it's just going to be that Nexus, as you mentioned before.
This is such a ballsy opening by MacSed when you drop the first pylon in your main. I know a lot of Protoss players will be like, you'll be okay, but if this is like any crazy early pool opening, you'll be in so much trouble. It's borderline impossible to hold, I think. It almost would be impossible. This is a super greedy opening by MacSed. Nexus first on the low ground with a gate in your main. It's something that you see players pull off on Altazine because the map is so large in case you play against triple pool. Or maybe on Frost because, hey, there's a chance that Zerg doesn't scout me immediately. Doing it on a two-player map, that is very ballsy. But it does set you up for some super strong two-base timings mid-game because everything that you would normally do out of a Forge Fast Expand is going to hit like 30 seconds quicker. And that could make the difference between 6 roaches or not.
Yeah, and TooDming's got to be careful about that. He's got to keep his overlords in the right positions, keep an eye on gas timings, especially at the natural, etc., as to what's going on. He already sees the 2 in the main, so can just assume that it's going to be pretty standard from there on out. And then he does at least get the spotting out of the 3rd, so that's okay for MacSed.
Yeah, good for MacSed to confirm that there's already a 3rd hatchery going up before the 4-minute mark, so it's not going to be possible to do it a whole lot quicker than that. Of course, before an extractor went down as well, which is something that MacSed can most likely assume, because if you open up like that but still get super quick gas, you're kind of destroying your own economy. You have like 10 drones and minerals, so yeah, yippee-yi-yo, you have 3 hatch, but you have no drones.
Yeah.
So. Often when Zerg players open up like this, they delay their gases for quite a bit. And I wonder if MacSed already is like, hey, if you're going to delay your gas, I might be able to do something about it because my warp gate is going to be pretty damn quick despite my Nexus first.
And at least this link confirmed at the front that there is the cybernetics core right next to the Forge as well, so you can poke in very nicely with a Ling or 2 and just see exactly what's going on, if a +1 weapons is being researched, if there was any Chrono Boost going into either of those. So it is going to give TooDming a heads up if you can keep an eye on that.
Yep, so important to be aware of what Protoss is spending the Chrono Boost energy on. It's something that Johan points out very often, and it is indeed very important because, hey, if there's suddenly 3 Chrono Boosts on a Cybernetics core, it is very, very likely that you at least see some Zealot pressure, if not a big commitment to gateway pressure, because otherwise there's no reason to spend all that Chrono Boost on your Cyber core. You much rather use it to usher out some extra probes.
So sentries with +1 for now for MacSed. And then on the other side of things for TooDming, he's just adding on his gases and trying to rocket himself up because he doesn't have any gases until this point. He needs to get himself in a defensible position just in case MacSed was to do anything funky, which he has done in the past.
Yeah, it was still relatively quick gas. I guess the extractors went down around like 5:35 and they finished up around 5:55. So that is more than fine. We see 2 extra gates going down in the main base of MacSed, who currently has nothing out on the map, if I recall correctly. 1 Zealot is just cruising in the middle. Is going to be able to take out this Ling now. He's like, yeah, first blood run.
First blood was pretty easy for him. I was surprised he even got that, actually.
Oh my god, TooDming so far ahead right now. He's at least down 1 drone.
And gets himself that second Ling. Brilliant. Fun times. So he actually had it on the Roach Horn behind this, and just a few extra drones coming out. But
yeah, I think he is a little worried. Like, he has a pretty good idea that there is no pylon out on the map, but you can never be sure. You might as well just missed it. And even if there is no pylon out, then you might still be able to be aggressive on the other side, as Speed is lining up pretty nicely with his Roach Horn. MacSed with indeed that very ballsy third base. We just spoke about it in the start of the game. It's pretty hard to go up to 3 bases early on as a Protoss player on this map. MacSed does it like it's any other map. He's like, oh, yeah, it's like an in-base hatch.
Looks to claim it with +2 and Blink by the looks of things. But the cleanup duty that Zealot and Stalker did were fantastic. He was holding the Watchtower whilst claiming that third. The Stalker was moving down the right-hand side to deny those lings. These two should eventually spot this, but that's a lot of roaches. I think he's anticipating this.
I think TooDming is very well aware of what's going on. I'm sure that he watched the replays that MacSed played against Sen. This is pretty identical to what we saw MacSed do against Sen on Frost back then, and this is a style that's just overall quite popular. But I find it really hard to pull it off on Polar Knight, and I'm very curious to see if MacSed will be able to survive against all those roaches, against all those speedlings, because the distance between your natural and your third base is so large.
Yeah, this is a really good time.
Wow, this is risky as well.
I'm surprised they were so far out here. This Mothership core technically does have energy for a recall.
Do you want to recall? Well, I mean, he has to, but is it something you really want to do?
Yeah.
The natural is so exposed. Not a single cannon in the natural. Of course, there is a cannon over here in this third base. MacSed is aware of that right now, so he warps in a cannon immediately. But oh boy, this will not be an easy hold at all. If we take a look at the army supply, we can see 49 against 28. I don't think there's energy for a Photon Overcharge. No, not in the near future even. Only 25 energy currently on the Mothership core. Dicey, James, dicey.
Yeah, damn right, that's true. It's a great wraparound with these links from the back as well, getting right on top of those sentries. This is big, big damage that we're seeing from TooDming. And MacSed behind this didn't even feel comfortable enough to get Blink. He knew he was under so much pressure. What a move by TooDming.
Yeah, this is almost game-ending damage. It has to be almost game-ending damage. A lot of links, roaches knocking on the front door of the natural of MacSed, who's trying to wipe in units for his dear life, but he has almost no DPS. He has nothing that's good against the links, and if he wipes in more Zealots, they're gonna suck against the roaches. Probes are being pulled right now. Maybe with all those probes, he will eventually be able to stabilize, but the damage has been dealt.
The roaches per minute was not very good in this one, by the looks of things. He's just killing off, well, a few.
It was good for TooDming.
Yeah, it was. There's plenty out there. And 30 more Zerglings on the way. He actually held all right there.
That's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not over just yet, but the more time goes by, I mean, if you look at the supply count, you're like, oh, Jesus, like 106 against 59. But a lot of that supply is in roaches and links. That's very useful right now. But the longer the game goes on, the more that MacSed will be prepared to deal with it. But this is very painful.
Yeah, even if he just splits some of those lings up into the natural as well. And whilst that force field hit, he's pushing on forwards to the third. All of this split damage done by TooDming is absolutely wrecking MacSed. There's really not a whole lot he can do.
Just when it looked like maybe MacSed will be able to stabilize, because he lost quite a few probes, so he was only down 6 workers, so that's normally not that bad, but he was down 30 army supply, and right now there are still 17 roaches in production, 6 of them just hatched. We do have that Dark Shrine going down in the main, but when behind Dark Shrine, James, but when behind 100 supply, you just step out.
Yeah, GG. GG, TooDming takes game number 1 in convincing fashion, actually. You know, really realizing what was going on. Despite not getting full awareness of that third base exactly, still the reads that he had on the game, and then the poke forwards to confirm that it was there. Just perfect by him.
A convincing victory by TooDming, of course, making units in the right phase of the game. He went for an economic opening early on, then used all these roaches. If he was under pressure, he could have been able to defend pressure with it. In this case, he's like, well, MacSed, I've seen you try to go up to 3 bases quicker than I think you normally should. And you know, we spoke about it. I think going up to 3 bases on Polar Knight is pretty damn tough. Doing it on the 7-minute mark, I think is really tough. Would it have been different if those sentries wouldn't have been in the middle of the map and he would have had a Photon Overcharge to fall back on? Yeah, maybe. That would have definitely helped out quite a bit, but I still think it would have been a tough hold regardless.
Yeah, it's like you can only Photon Overcharge one location there. Maybe you would have had a few more force fields, but with the amount of space you have to cover on the third base especially, that's not going to make a huge amount of difference.
And TooDming is slowly but steady becoming the Zerg of the beautiful engagements, because as you pointed out, the way that those links were swinging around and getting perfect surface area on all those sentries, after those sentries just thought they did a good job in zoning out a few roaches, was very well done by TooDming.
It was. Really good calculation there by our Zerg player. Now moving on to game number 2, Habitation Station is our map. And there's certainly a lot of opportunity here for TooDming to also get equally strong engagement adjustments if his opponent goes for something like a quick third, if he goes for it, not in the gold location at least, but then again, we could see straight to gold anyway. There is a lot of options available here for MacSed.
Different strokes for different folks is what I'd like to say, and of course a lot of people in general. It's not my saying. Would be awesome if it was. I'd be really famous, I guess.
Yeah,
but
you would be.
I'm very surprised by the two maps that MacSed picked. Like starting off on Polar Knight against the Zerg, maybe not the end of the world, but still in general considered to be kind of a tricky map. And then following it up with Habitation Station, it wouldn't be my choice.
A difficult start for this man. Let's see if he can equalize it up to the top right-hand corner. Our red Protoss representing IG Invictus Gaming. It is MacSed.
Damn, did you see how Funka synced up that zoom with the music? Oh, Funka is stepping up his game day by day.
He is. I think he has rivalry from other events, but now up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg representing Zenith of Origin. It's TooDming.
I've never noticed that, James. That's so beautiful. I'm gonna get Funka a beer later tonight. He deserves it for that zoom and that timing with the music. Shout out to our production crew, of course, for doing an awesome job. Hopefully you guys at home are enjoying the action. And as Paul mentioned before the series, guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to have so much StarCraft in the upcoming 7 days. Of course, after this, we'll have a 2-day break. Or 3 days, I should say.
3
right?
days, yeah.
Yes, well, 2 days for us. And we start doing rehearsals and prep on Wednesday again, I think. Maybe even Tuesday. Either way, you guys will have 3 days off. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's going to be an insane amount of StarCraft action with WCS Europe and WCS America at the same time. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend for StarCraft fans.
Yeah, I think so as well. And coming back to Funka, it's like we get breaks, you know, but he's on here all the time.
Are you kidding? Funka has his feet on the table when he adjusts.
He just he doesn't even need to control. He controls it with his mind, man.
I'm kidding. Pylon block going down in the natural over here. This time we did see a much earlier forge for MacSed. Of course, the pylon went down on the low ground. So I think he was hoping for you know, maybe he's going hedge first, and he is going hedge next. Sorry, guys. He already has a spawning pull down.
Oh well.
I was giving too much love to Funka. I lost my train of thoughts of what's actually going on in the game.
There we go. Oh, Funka. All right, so Nexus down at the back of this hole for MacSed with that forge. So he's going to send the probe down there and actually spot out that base in that location.
I'm surprised he lets that pylon finish. I feel, you know, it's not like he's going to drop 2 hatcheries at 3 minute and 20 second mark. So if that drone goes down to drop that hatch on that 9 o'clock location, you might as well just cancel this pylon, because by the time that he actually wants to take this hatchery, look at the mineral count. By the time that this pylon dies, he will have enough minerals for the hatchery.
Yeah, you can just be like cost effective elsewhere. The queen starts up, you know, that's the 150 mineral dump, which even helps you out with the lava anyway that you want to have going into the later stages of this early game.
Yeah, a little bit surprised there by MacSed. I think in some scenarios it's okay to let the pylon finish. If you also have, if you keep track on the drone that's going southbound and then you start blocking that hatchery, then you know you're blocking both locations. Then again, on this map, they sometimes take the gold as well, so it's never good enough. And look at this little Ling. Duh.
Oh, it's like a... Oh, yeah, he's going to find it. There you go.
Man, that probe is like a camouflage probe. That's like it's hard to spot that probe.
So camouflage.
Of course, with the way that MacSed or TooDming did it on an attack move, shift point, right click, it will always just attack anything that's nearby. But if you would be on move command, I don't think you'd see it.
It's a good spot out though. Really good spot out. Good anticipation here once again by TooDming, who is just reading MacSed to a T. This is really difficult for MacSed. You can't get away with anything.
You have to love your position right now if you're TooDming. You found the probe out on the map. Sure, your natural is a little later, but this actually does mean that your creep spread is going to be better from the south side, because that base is already up and running. You might be able to drop 1 creep tumor soon as well, because you will not be able to spend all that lava anyways, and that is exactly what TooDming does. There we go. I actually don't even think that this is that bad at all for TooDming. I think he's quite pleased with how everything went.
And this probe is still down here. He snuck out as soon as that Zergling died, and is going to throw down a pylon down to this bottom right. So,
Twilight Dark Shrine?
Maybe, yeah. I think that won't be too bad an option. He might even just go Twilight.
Or he might just drop 5 gates there. But there are still Lings running around on the south side of the map. Look at how thorough TooDming is with his scouting.
Okay. Probe sticking there, so onto the Dark Shrine we go. And from there on out...
Man, if that new set of Lings on the south side finds it again, that's just that would be atrocious for MacSed. That would be an absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah. Dude, that would be amazing if he found it. That really would. The double scout on for it to find, but he's looking to just position himself at the third and have a look around there with this initial Zergling.
If that link goes southwards right now, he might be able to find it. If he doesn't find it, I don't think it will be necessarily the end of the world, because we saw that yesterday when it was Revival against Alicia on Frost. I actually asked Revival about it at the end of the day. I was hey, Revival, did you drop those spores because you thought it were DT, or was it just because you didn't know and you're like, hey, I might as well get some spores? He's like, nah, I see 2 pylons. So I was like, no units, must be DTs. I was like, ah, good. He's like, no, not good. I still lost. I was like, yeah, but the spores were really good, Revival.
Oh, wow. A perfectionist to the end. The pylon's been spotted down to this bottom right.
That's a big tell.
Yeah, there has to be something going on, guaranteed.
This is a very similar scenario to what we saw in Alicia versus Revival, where Revival also was aware of the pylons. And, you know, I thought like, they're trying to sell it as gateway pressure, but Revival knew exactly what was going on. And I would be very surprised if TooDming doesn't drop any spores in the near future. Yeah,
and even if it doesn't, I mean, with the layer finishing up, could happily morph in a few Overseers as well. So he has plenty of options to it.
But if you have no spores, it can still be tricky, because that Overseer is not going to be everywhere at the same time. By the time you clean up one Dark Templar, okay, one Overseer is being morphed right now. I really wonder where it is. Show it to us, Wanka. Oh, okay, that's on the right side of the map. So this could still give MacSed a window of opportunity to kill maybe 15 drones. And I know that sounds like a lot, but if there is no detection anywhere, you can wipe in 3 DTs, you split them over 3 bases. I think that TooDming can be happy if he only loses 15 drones. When is he going to see it, though? He should see it real soon. We still see nothing on the production tab.
No reaction. And the Zealot Stalker weapon that we saw here from this was like a little bit of a ruse in essence. It's just really drawing his attention away from what is actually going on.
Yep. Well, here we go. There are 3 DTs in the natural. He's going to focus his hatchery. I'm not sure if I like that, James. I know there are scenarios where it's good. Naniwa said this a long time. He's like, I'd rather kill the hatch than kill some drones. Killing the hatch is very important, which of course it is, but I'm not sure. Because in the end, it's 1 hatchery for 3 Dark Templars, which is a big investment. Okay, he will... Okay, this is nice. This is very nice.
Yeah.
That 4 Dark Templar that got warped in later, now I like it. Because now you kill the base and you killed 11 drones.
And he even split off his other Dark Templars. Yes, the one in the main got cleaned up, but one actually got away. And that's always annoying for anybody who wants to transition across the map. Of course, you can have an Overseer with it, but you never know when it might poke back in and actually do something at those bases.
So often after Dark Templars, you have to worry about the big Roach counterattack. We see 2 Stargates on the map, and I like that Funka is showing the work tab as well. 62 drones currently against 51 probes. Normally, of course, that's a position that you'd love to be in as a Protoss player. All that MacSed has to make sure right now is that he doesn't take too much damage of this big Roach pressure, because, you know, that's one of the oldest tricks in the books. Yeah, the DDs did some damage, but what if I overrun you with Roaches right now? Look at those Roach upgrades going down as well. Burrow and Tunneling Claws when we are praising the Roach.
I'm really surprised he actually didn't bring his Overseer with this, because technically DTs could be useful for the defense, but this is still going to get the 3rd anyway.
Excellent point there, James, but does he not have a Photon Overcharge, or he just didn't want to use it?
I guess he was just sacrificing it in the end.
I'm a little bit surprised by that. Also, of course, having only 1 pylon powering those 2 cannons hurt a lot, because those 2 cannons represented a lot of potential DPS. So just when I said that the only thing that he has to make sure of is that he doesn't take too much damage from this Roach pressure, well, I think TooDming just struck back, and I think he's at least even, if not in a very comfortable position. He's up on 74 drones again, and he has a macro hatch in the main. Wow, TooDming playing some clean StarCraft over here.
Yeah, doing all right. Adding on that Hydralisk Den, really kind of getting this ranged army up and running. And the Overseer is keeping an eye on pretty much everything that's going on. He'll see the Stargates, he'll see whatever he needs to, and then from there can react accordingly. I mean, he's going to have a lot of Hydralisks out pretty soon.
Yeah, so what do you do right now, James? If you're MacSed, what do you think his best choice is?
I guess continue to try and claim the 3rd and try and transition over to Robo or something. But at the same time...
Drop the Robo Bay ASAP, I guess, because I mean, I know there is a way to deal with Hydras when you have Void Rays, but I do not feel that MacSed has his infrastructure in place for that. You know, normally you need a bunch of charge lots, eventually Storm, or at least a lot of sentries to zone out those Hydras against your Void Rays. I do not feel that Habitation Station is an easy map to do that either. Yes, there are a lot of ramps, but how far do you want to fight outside of that 3rd base? And Immortal in production, which obviously it's good against the Roaches, but I'm still a little bit surprised that he produces the Immortal before the Robo Bay. Maybe it just feels like he has no gas, so he feels this is his only choice.
And TooDming getting tricky with that Tunneling Claws on these Roaches. Doesn't spot it.
He might be able to snipe the Mothership Core, because the Hydras are coming in from the south side. Is he going to try, or is he going to avoid it? He's just going to ignore it for now.
But at least he sees this move now and knows that the third base is once again going to be pretty vulnerable. If he wants to trade it for this base, that's not too bad a trade here. He could just cancel that and go back. But
actually, quite a few units still at home for MacSed, despite that 3 Void Ray hit squad. Guardian Shield, good force fields there. That Immortal's unfortunately on the wrong side of the battle.
Roach has sprung in for the ambush, but they didn't get past the force fields yet. They did get that Immortal, as you mentioned, and that, yeah, the Dark Templar are going to work on these Hydralists. There's still no Overseer here. Why is he not bringing them with him? And he's going to hold at this base. Wow.
That Void Ray pushing out so much damage. Excellent force fields there by MacSed. This was not a scenario where he was able to mess up. Yes, he lost the Immortal, but he still did not take any damage this time at his third base. And he denied the fort, and he picked off quite a few of the army of TooDming. Suddenly, you have to dig his position a little bit.
Yeah, the Star Templar are doing work. +3 weapons is on the way. Blink is going to finish as well. He's adding on his Robo-Bay. It probably won't be super up and running by the time that this secondary push comes here from TooDming, but at least he'll have Blink and well, close to finishing.
This push, I feel, is not as scary as it was before. There is a 20 army supply lead for the Zerg, but we all know the power of the force fields and power of Protoss in general. Yeah, this time there will be photon skill race. Photon overcharge as well, maybe even a time warp if he really wants to. I mean, MacSed is still going to have to engage this properly, but I think he can.
And we're going to try and go up the ramp here with this. I'm not sure this is the most amazing of decisions. Can establish a little bit of a concave on the bottom of the ramp, but he gets a few free units for his troubles, but gets sealed in.
The Mothership Core falls despite still having 100 energy. There could have been another photon overcharge in the main. I still think MacSed will be okay. That first Colossus is on the production tab. And look at the army of the Zerg and imagine one Colossus with the army of MacSed.
I think as soon as those 2 force fields dropped on the ramp, TooDming should have turned around and just gone straight for that third Nexus with all of his army on the low ground. Could have broken that very quickly without MacSed being able to do anything.
Go full on YOLO swag on the Nexus.
Yeah, grab it, man. Grab it. Grab it for the win. And
one time and one time only.
He's going to sit outside here and have a position himself ready to actually push in there, because MacSed doesn't feel like he can go down the ramp, but he has to, because now his third base is under assault.
He's waiting for the Colossus. I can't really blame him. I don't think he's going to lose the Nexus. He's buying time with those cannons. The Colossus, Big Daddy, is here. He loves it when you call him Big Papa, and he's going to have a good day.
He's going to have a good day. Guardian Shield as well as Force Fields trying to cut up a lot of this. There's only 6 range on that Colossus, so he can't miss-micro this at all. The Hydralists on this right-hand side getting right on top of these Void Rays. A lot of the supply here for MacSed is plummeting, is falling. He really wants to get on top of that Colossus. He's going to try and chase it down still, but actually pulls on back for just a second there. He must realize it's only 6 range. But
actually, pretty sick concave there by TooDming.
Yeah.
He positioned his army so well. He still has to be careful, because normally if MacSed does it properly, he shouldn't lose it.
He's like, oh, I didn't have an Overseer with one time. That one DT, I'm going to bring 6 this time. This is going to be the best. I'm never going to spot him.
Very smart, of course, because there were a bunch of Void Rays in that first fight as well. So there is a chance that MacSed would have gone all out on that one Overseer. Second Colossus is here as well, and Turbulence is about to finish up. But the third Nexus has fallen. Triple Contaminate being used as well. That's sexy. But now I think TooDming has to be a little careful, because these 2 Colossus are going to push out a lot of damage. One of them might fall, actually. MacSed a little sloppy there.
Yeah, Thermal Lance still not done it. Only just done now. So this one Colossus can still reign supreme over this battlefield for a little bit. TooDming sacrificed a lot of that. If he'd have just pushed forwards and got right on top of both of them, he would have killed them so fast.
So he picked off the Nexus, massive pickoff. Also, this all, in my opinion, happened because MacSed lost that one Mothership Core. Imagine a time warp one time or another photon overcharge in the natural, or I mean in the third base. It would have made his life so much easier, because now he had to run down that ramp straight into that concave of TooDming. TooDming still very heavy on the Hydra list, like Funka's pointing out to us. 23 Hydras against 2 Colossus, and most importantly, no signs of Hive on the way. No infestation pit yet, nothing.
It's all about the mid-game for now, and we have 2 Dark Templar down to the bottom left-hand corner that could actually do something. Well, I think this should be shut down in the end with that Overseer there.
That's nice. Zealot, man. That Zealot ruined it for the DTs. That Zealot is like, hey, send your army to the downside, to the south side. DTs are coming. That Zealot, that totally wanted to deflect.
Brace yourself.
Brace yourself, DTs are coming. Okay, well, I'll send my entire army. And then that Roach is like, yeah, it is coming.
Oh, great.
I saw something.
We can deal with this pretty easily, guys. Oh, well. MacSed's army is not looking that bulky. He's going to have a hard time really closing off the army from closing the gap with these Colossi. They have to use the high ground, really move back into the natural if they're going to have some kind of good defense here, I feel.
Force fields are going to have to be fantastic. Photon overcharge is going to have to go down. And of course, he's going to have to micro those Colossus properly. If TooDming is going to try to go for a full-on sandwich, what seems to be the case, that looks great on paper, but that could really backfire with some good force fields from MacSed. I'm not sure TooDming, I mean, he is up 50 supply, but that can disappear really quickly.
That's a great start, but actually burrowing right onto the force field. He's going to get on top of the Colossi. One of them ends up falling, as will a second one.
Sick.
Force fields don't matter to this guy. He is right on point and killing off the entirety of MacSed's army. What a great move once again by TooDming.
Totally forgot he had tunneling claws. Of course, he researched it 5-6 minutes ago and didn't really utilize it, other than the fact when he was like below that mothership core. But ever since then, he didn't use it that much. But this was the perfect moment to use tunneling claws. Rarely do you see tunneling claws be that useful in a phase of the game like this against an army like that. There was no better scenario to use it. It's really sick that TooDming remembered that he had it, because often you forget, you know, there's like one phase, hey, I want to go max Roach with tunneling claws. Again, that triple contaminate, you're going to have to love that as well.
Yeah, so good to see that used in the way he is doing. 21 Roaches during all of that within production. Now they're pushing on as they've reinforced at the front here. This one Colossus running for his life as this third base is going to fall. He just even focuses down. He does not care about any of the army. Brings that down. There is very little economy left here for MacSed, and TooDming is playing great.
TooDming is playing absolutely fantastic. Takes out that base again. He might have to back off a little bit for now. You don't want to overextend because he doesn't have to, but he still has a lot of damage in his army. +2 just finished up. +2 armor is about to finish up. Fantastic use by Contaminate. Sexy play with those Roaches. Wow, TooDming showing us what he's made of and taking out his fellow country player, MacSed, 2-0 in convincing fashion.
Even just the split back of his army as he kills the third to then bring his opponent's army forwards as he think he's got him on the retreat, and then the push back into the army. Just great moves there by TooDming.
That was some beautiful Zerg play, man. And that's the kind of Zerg play that brings a smile to your face, because it was not boring, totally Swarmo style. It's very back and forth, very active. And once again, there was no better moment ever to use tunneling claws than that moment where he used it. I was really afraid when he started to split up his army. Of course, like going for a big surround or, you know, a good engagement is awesome, but often you see a couple of force fields zoning out a big part of the army, and then the other army just really dies quickly, and he's like, I still have tunneling claws, went for it immediately. Beautiful play by TooDming. Really, really well done.
Yeah, and now he's looking for revenge. He certainly is, as we get our rematch in that final game of Group C between Arthur and TooDming. And I've got to say, I think that with what we just saw there from TooDming, if he's, you know, he anticipates what Arthur can bring to the table from the previous series, I think he has a pretty good shot of actually going through.
Yeah, I really think he has. Arthur is a Protoss player that is incredibly tricky to read, because you don't know what's coming. Often you know something is coming, but you don't really know what is coming. And TooDming also mentioned that he misread Arthur on the game on, like Todd, I think Todd mentioned this on the broadcast. I'm not sure if he mentioned it on the broadcast or not, but he thought he was playing against DTs, and then it was just a big gateway push. And this is the kind of stuff, like Arthur is tricky. You don't know what he's going to throw at you, but TooDming looked really rock solid in this series. That was some beautiful Zerg play. There's really nothing else to it.
It was scary. I mean, MacSed looked just pinned. There was not really a whole lot that MacSed had to answer to what TooDming was exhibiting. So very, very nicely done. And for now, we can head over to lovely Red Eye with an interview.
Come this way, TooDming. I don't bite. It's fine. Congratulations. Terrific game against a player that you have played against a lot. So I guess the first thing is, did that help?
OK， 首先这是一场非常精彩的比赛。首先恭喜你取胜，然后 MacSed 算是你的老对手啊，你之前也应该跟他经常交战，所以之前的经验是不是对这场比赛有帮助？
因为就是交手太多次了，而且都是国手嘛，所以我就是心态比较放松吧，然后就是也没有特别去想什么，因为我觉得就是两个国手在这样的舞台上面提前碰面，我觉得是很尴尬的一件事情。对。
Actually, they always meet in Chinese Cup, in Chinese game. So he felt very relaxed because this is this is the guy he always meets. So he just to do what he always does as usual. So, but he wants to point out it's really embarrassing meet another player from China on the losers bracket. So that's it.
Okay, yeah, I read an interview with you at Team Liquid this morning, actually, that said, ideally, you two wanted to meet in the winners bracket. So yeah, I understand your frustration. What does it mean to you to make it through to this next game and play Arthur and then have a chance at playing in the quarterfinals like MacSed did last year?
首先他看到了在那个 Team Liquid 的网站上面对你的采访，你们两个想在胜者组碰面，非常遗憾你们是在败者组。然后他的第二个问题是，你感觉就是因为这场比赛的胜利，你将会再一次碰上亚瑟。然后你现在有什么样的想法 ？Would you mind say that question again? I can't remember so clearly.
Just what is it like? How does he feel about reaching the round of eight? How is it important to him?
你觉得这是不是一个非常重要的机会？你可以进行复仇？
我想。
就是他就是说，这是一次第二次机会，你可以遇到亚瑟，你是不是觉得这对你来说很重要？因为你觉得你还是很有信心战胜他，输一次觉得不甘心，就是大概是这么一个意思。
我就是怎么说他 ，he is all in boy， so I have confidence.
Okay, so you're confident. Okay, you should just do this in English. Your English is really good. I do want to let you know that there is some pressure here because now you've beaten your Chinese teammate. He now expects you to reach the quarterfinal.
他想知道，因为你是战胜了自己的本国的I want to say they are not teammates. They are from different clubs. 就是你战胜了来自本国的选手 MacSed， 这样我们中国的两位选手出现的压力就全部落在你一个人身上了。你现在是什么样的感觉？
既然我赢了，我肯定会赢下 Arthur。
He will definitely win next game, and he will pay double effort because the MacSed.
Okay. One last question. You're a great personality. We saw that at the start when you were a little bit cheeky and you waved to the camera, which is great. Where is your team shirt though? Where is it?
He lost.
It's lost?
Lost.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll let him off for now. Well done. TooDming, congratulations. Our Zerg is going through to the last game in Group C to play Arthur, and they will play off for our final chance to get out of Group C into the quarterfinals. We'll see this man in action very shortly. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, though, that's the match you're going to see. Stay tuned to WCS America.